Hey everyone! So, if you've been here a while, you already know that writing has always been a huge hobby of mine. It's always been very important to me, before I even got into costuming and sewing or even knitting. I've been writing since I could hold a pencil, and in turn, for the past 6 years, I've done NaNoWriMo, won countless school based awards, and been published in several anthologies. Heck, I've published 3 books, although only 2 of them are actually pertinent to my actual series. But with all of that, you'd be surprised to know that in grade 9, my passion for it actually almost made me fail class. So let's rewind to grade 8. I had this game I would play as a writing exercise. I would turn on the radio, and the first 10 songs I would write only for the duration of the song, but I would write about the theme of the song, the lyrics, or kind of what it meant to me, any form of inspiration. It was just a bunch of drabble pieces to get me in the groove of writing. One song one night was Rihanna's Please Don't Stop the Music. And I never really had any OCs or characters before, but for this song, I created 2 boys who ended up being Micah and Arkady. And I just wrote about these 2 boys in the club having a good night, and I was like, aha, I like these 2. I want to keep using them and see where they go. So I developed a backstory for them. Well, I mean, dozens of backstories, but they have a canonical one now in the so far 2-part series. I love them. They are my babies. And I mean, now there are so many more characters in their story, but this is kind of where it started. Ryder came on a little bit later, not too far off, and I kept using these characters over and over and over in every assignment possible. It became solely about them. Well, then in grade 9, I was taking honors English, and my teacher encouraged us to branch out and write about more how we felt in the moment, not doing word trees or consistent stories. She was just about feelings and moments. Well, I used to write on everything. Scrap paper, margins of tests, backs of journals, nothing was safe. I actually sort of became infamous in my high school because I wrote a story once about maple syrup. And okay, so I went to a really small, intimate high school, and that story kind of took off and became more of an inside joke. Like during bake sales, the principal would say over the announcements, and just a reminder to all students that no maple syrup products are allowed. And it was just this massive joke. Everyone knew who they were. It was like they were the unofficial mascots of the school. Anyway, how they made me fail class specifically is, well, when I created Ryder, he was almost instantly popular. He was super naive, like a little puppy, and everyone fell in love with him. Arkady was like the emo kid, popular, but really only because he was pretty. He had like a really depressing backstory. Micah was very femme, and okay, so I went to a very weeby school, and he was basically only known as Uke. Man, it seems so weird to think now how little real character development they actually had. But hey, whatever, it worked back then. Anyway, Ryder Goodbean was very loved. My English teacher in particular fell in love with him, and I would write about him in her class quite a lot. So I'd write on the backs of test papers, and when I was done, before I would hand them in, one of these times I actually killed him off in a bit of a depressing way. My teacher was so mad. She took the test back and she graded it a 0 with the note, I will fail you if you don't bring him back. And at the time I kind of rebelled. I was like, no, I don't feel like it. He's gonna be dead forever. And it just became like this power struggle. For about 2 weeks, my best friends kept saying, just bring him back and secretly kill him again on the next test. And I almost went for it, since it was a good idea. But I was convinced she might actually fail me if I did that. So for those 2 weeks, I was almost like the queen of the class. Like I had the almost the upper hand in this. But for the period, I would get all of my papers graded back with zeros with little notes. Bring Ryder back on them. And I mean, of course she couldn't legally do it. I wasn't really getting graded zeros, I found out. She was just putting that on the physical copy of the quizzes, even though in truth I wasn't actually being marked to 0. And although that's not really the funny part of the story, for a little bit she did have me fooled there that I maybe was actually going to fail the class. But I did end up bringing him back, as my social studies teacher was also getting peeved that I wasn't writing about him anymore. So, I mean, it was a fun experience while it lasted. Well, that was part of my high school experience, at least part of the first year. So, my question for you is, what's your favorite memory of school so far? Let me know in the comments, and on the way, check out all my social media links in the description. There's a shout out to Jupiter, as always, so if you want to join them in the credits, check out my Patreon. I'll see you guys again soon.